Kids are like sponges. They pick up on everything. Author David Coates' research confirms the idea, which he believes can be the cause of some huge problems in families. In his book, right here, Kids Pick Up on Everything, he highlights 3 simple steps that diffuse the problem areas. Welcome so much to the show, David. Happy to have you here.
It's nice to be here, but off the bat, I got to tell you, I'm a little disappointed because they didn't warn me that you're going to be better looking than I am. So I don't know how I'm going to stand out today, okay? But you've got that expecting mom glow, and I'm sitting here like chopped liver.
You know what? You are a smart man. You know how to start an interview out, don't you?
Absolutely.
I'm going to take out all my tough questions now.
Okay, I appreciate it.
No, I'm kidding. Okay, you say stress is the new normal for parents. It really, you know, it is. We all feel rushed and stressed, and you say that that can be really hazardous to our kids. What do you mean by that?
Well, kids really do pick up on everything. I've done a ton of research at the National Library of Medicine, and the number of articles that explain how kids really do kind of soak up that stress in the household until their little nervous systems hit overload, and then they develop symptoms. And it's become epidemic at this point. I'm really concerned about it.
Of course, we know how hazardous it can be to our health, yet we really don't always know what to do about it. You say that as a parent, we need to kind of treat our relationship with our children sort of like putting on the oxygen mask on the airplane, where we put our own on first and then help the young people around us. Is that right?
That's the metaphor I like to use. I mean, so often we're focused on our kids, and everything is child-focused these days, and it's really a mistake. If we take care of ourselves first, put on our own oxygen mask, socialize, de-stress, enjoy life, get a life, then obviously it's going to have a nice ripple effect all through the household, especially to the kiddos.
It is true that they pick up everything, and my husband and I will have conversations in the front 2 seats of a car, and the little guy in the back will pipe in every once in a while and be like, "Mom's right, Dad," or "Dad's right, Mom." And it's interesting how it affects him. He thinks we're arguing even though we're not. Maybe we're just talking about a more serious conversation.
They are incredibly sensitive. There is a kind of a primal instinct in kids called attunement. If you think back thousands of years ago when we were like fighting off the fellow cavemen or avoiding the saber-toothed tiger, it was really in a child's best interest to be very attuned to mom and dad's stress levels. Because if mom and dad were stressed, that meant a threat was coming, and that kid had to kind of mobilize his fight or flight response and be ready to respond. So kids today still have attunement, and that's why it's been medically proven now they really do pick up on everything.
You have 3 simple things that we can do as parents to help our kids avoid this stress, help us avoid the stress so the kids can avoid the stress. The first one you say is exercise.
That's right, yeah. If you can exercise daily with your spouse, that is a huge advantage, because we know that exercise is a stress buster, right? But also to socialize with your spouse, to work on that marital relationship, that deep, intimate relationship, and make sure that things are going along smoothly there, that's very good for your own stress level, whether you're aware of it or not, and it will ripple through to your child as well.
Children really pick up on those things, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
When there's maybe some issues in the relationship.
That's the thing, you know, you can tell yourself, oh, everything's great, everything's awesome, and the kid knows otherwise, right?
Exactly, exactly. Okay, the other one was about the next one is about observing the Sabbath.
That's right. I tell folks to keep the Sabbath even if they're not religious. Because if you have that one day a week when you're not doing work, you're not checking email, you're not running errands, you're not talking logistics, then all of a sudden you're left with nothing to do except socialize and have fun and have a break, and it will improve your work, even though you may think at first like, oh, I'm totally stressed because now I have less time to do all the stuff I need to do.
Right, I'm going to get behind if I
have you
don't
ever
use Sunday
noticed,
afternoon or
have
something.
You, ever, you never catch up.
No,
you never
true.
catch up anyway.
It's true.
So you might as well take a day off and enjoy yourself and take a mental health day, a mental spa day.
Every Sunday,
yeah, and that'll set things up nicely for the rest of the week and have benefits for your kids.
Now, you mentioned about speaking about logistics in front of the kids in what you just said. I found that my little guy likes to know when and how things are going to happen in maybe the upcoming week or the upcoming day.
Sure, they love
like
structure, they love clarity. Oh yeah, I have no problem with that. It's running logistics on Sunday that I don't want people doing, that's all.
Interesting, that's great. Okay, the third one was a mandatory recess. Tell me what you mean.
Yeah, I want us all to go to the workplace and lobby our boss to make sure we are kicked out of the office from noon to 1. It's a mandatory lunch hour. You can no longer eat your lunch at your desk.
Where's our GM, Mark?
Hello. Yeah, that one always gets me the big bucks.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll be invited back immediately.
No, but it's great because, I mean, think of the Hispanics and their culture where they have the siesta. That was such a great natural way to do this, where, you know, you're real stressed out and you're working hard in the morning and trying to achieve a lot, and then you take a break and you return to baseline and find your peaceful self, and then come back in the afternoon and you can do some more work then. But it's so important to have that time, that little break.
A little breather, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now, we're setting an example for our kids. That's the main way that we teach them. And our society today is go, 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 go all the time. Yeah. How can we teach our kids to, strive towards or expect a life with days that are full of, a normalcy, or the kinds of things that you're talking about, where they take a little break during the day. They understand the Sabbath.
Well, I think probably the easiest way to do it is show them how fun it is. Mm-hmm. Because if we're socializing and enjoying ourselves, if we parents have a life, that sets a great example for our kids to get their own life. Mm-hmm. So it's really an example of modeling. And what we're modeling right now for our kids, I wouldn't wish that on my kids.
Right.
The kind of lifestyle that I lead, I wouldn't wish that on my kids.
Sometimes I tell myself, I'm working this hard so that my kid doesn't have to. Yeah. Do you hear that a lot?
I do hear that a lot, and I'm sorry, I think it's a myth.
Right.
We're working so hard and making so much money in order to pay for the kids X, Y, and Z.
Right.
I would rather we would take away the kids X, Y, and Z and have us be calm and more relaxed. One of the most fascinating studies I've read, there were researchers that asked children, what do you actually want from your parents? Do you want more time? Do you want more attention? And their response blew me away. They said, I don't necessarily want more time with mom and dad. I want them to be more relaxed when they're with me.
So it's more quality time over the quantity of time.
Well, but even quality time, these days with parents, I find them, the way they are with their kids is kind of like, okay, I'm giving you FaceTime now. Okay, we're having fun now. Okay, this is my time now. I'm guilt-free now, and all this kind of stuff. And that's not what the kids are after. It's more about the vibe we bring to our time with the kids than it is how much time we spend with the kids.
I have to ask you about entertaining the kids. I have one child, I have one on the way, but it's just been him with a lot of grown-ups for a while. And we have a tendency to want to keep him entertained all the time. And I've made a little bit of a point to give him, space to use his imagination and play on his own, but it's a little bit tricky. He kind of expects to be, razzle-dazzled quite often.
Well, forgive me, but I suspect that you've probably trained your child to have those high expectations. It's very popular these days. You're not alone. There's a lot of parents that think that they have to be kind of a walking Disney World for their children all the time and to engineer this perfect trauma-free world that the child can grow up in and therefore become happy. It's not working. It's never worked. And it's much more important that that child learns independence and self-reliance. And one of the basics is how to entertain themselves, how to take care of themselves in terms of what they're going to do with their days. Do you remember the old days when, mom would kick us out of the house? It's like, don't come in. You have to be outside for an hour. And I grew up in Canada where it's a little bit chilly outside, But we learned to adjust.
Right.
And I did learn to entertain myself. And my wife will tell you I'm incredibly entertaining.